Hey everybody, Eric Switzer here for TheGamer, and I'm here today with Meg Palecchio to discuss the sensation that's sweeping the nation, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. Is that right?
Yep.
There are so many, I almost thought I was going to botch it. Okay, here's the deal. We do a lot of these review videos, as you know. This one, this is a huge blind spot for me, so I'm going to need your help. You got to walk me through this, because all I know is Naked Man on a beach and do backflip on bicycle.
I mean, that's enough to sell you on it, right?
It's yeah, it's pretty much. I'm pretty much already in, but where should we start?
Ooh, where should we start? I suppose the best place to start is the setting Hawaii. This is the first in the series to go overseas and like
Mm-hmm.
outside of Japan properly, and it is massive. Like this is the biggest map to date. It's huge, and you still have like the Japanese cities and stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like there's so much. You still have Kamurocho and you have Yokohama, and then you have Honolulu City. So it's there, there's so much that's new about this one that I won't have played it all by the time I finish my review because there's just so much side content.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I love that there's so much about it that's familiar as well. It's got a really good balance of doing both. But for those who don't know, it follows on after Yakuza Like a Dragon. So after the new protagonist got introduced, Kasuga Ichiban and his crew. In the last one, it was kind of like a passing of the torch. But then Kiryu came back for Gaiden, the little like digital one that we had in November. And then this one is like they share the spotlight. It's still mainly Kasuga, but they share the spotlight. And yeah, it's a lot like bigger, just in everything they try and do. So it's a good one. I'm really interested to see how different fans react to it in terms of like long-term fans of the series, and then the people that came in with Seven and really like the turn-based. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see how people react to it.
Yakuza is a series that changes quite a bit from game to game, right?
Yeah, like so it started off just normal, kind of you were just Kiryu and you'd go around and you do quirky little sub stories and the combat was just beat him down. And then as the series went on, they started introducing like, oh, now there's going to be multiple protagonists, and you switch between them and things like that. And it started getting like broader, and it ventured outside of the first couple of games. It's just Kamurocho City, and it expands. Well, the first game. So it is a series that has evolved over time in terms of what they do and where they go. But one of the things I really like the most about it is that it evolves with the times. So the games age as we age and the characters age as we age.
Mm.
And obviously it's no secret to anyone going into this that Kiryu has cancer in this one. So he's older and it's sad. He's like there's this whole bucket list feature that they debuted. So it's for someone that's like played the games as like over the years, it's like bittersweet. It's like sad. It's like when your dog gets old and you notice he's got like grey in his muzzle and you're like, oh no, he's not going to be around long. That's what this is like. Actually, even more so because Kiryu actually has grey hair in it. God, yeah.
Wow, dark.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's bittersweet. It's like you know it's not like, oh well, people will make their own judgments.
Yeah, so I know it's we don't want to get too spoilery, but talk a little bit about the story. Is it centered around his cancer diagnosis?
That's one of the plot threads. Like all the games, the threads do kind of come together, and everything like makes more sense. Like things that seem a bit more separate come together. But I would say the main plot is more Kasuga. The reason he goes to Hawaii is he wants to find his birth mother, who he
Mm.
thought was dead, and that's why he goes there. That's his main kind of goal, and then obviously, as always, they get like tied up into drama that's going on, and but the cancer is there, and as you get like later on in the game, that's when the bucket list feature becomes a thing, and you go around, and as you explore, there's like these little spots on the ground, and you go there and he'll like reminisce, like, oh, I remember when I came here and I did this, and it's quite sad. But like in a good way. But it was funny because like some of the memories he has are of like the spin-offs, which obviously aren't like canon because they're like set in, you know, like old world Japan, and he's like, oh, I had this weird dream once where I was a samurai and this is what it was like, and it will pop up a little picture of it. So it was
Oh,
kind
that's
of sweet that
cool.
they put those in as well.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the gameplay stuff. So what are the new mechanics or features here that are new to the series?
New to the series, the biggest one has to be Dondoko Island, which
Okay.
is like basically an Animal Crossing mini game. But to call it a mini game feels like I'm doing it a disservice because that could be its own thing. They could have launched it as a digital thing, a digital game, and like it's massive. I spent days in it, like days in our life, real world days, and I'm still like, I haven't got my 5-star island. That's the thing I'm going to pivot back to now I finished the game. But oh my word, that's the biggest one.
What is the narrative conceit for that?
One of the like themes of the game is like the environment and nature, especially to with like the Hawaii side of the story. So he helps this turtle, and there's these like quirky mascots that know the turtle, and he ends up on that island, and they explain it used to be an island resort and people have been dumping rubbish on there. And so he's like, I'm going to help you make this a really nice resort again. And that's pretty much the story. That's
Okay.
what more motivation do you need?
Gotcha. Okay. And so that plays out like a new Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, so you have like your house, you can expand your house, you decorate your house, which is just a very small facet of it. You have the island, you have to clear out the rubbish because it's just trash everywhere. You collect bugs, you collect fish, you collect like things around the island like mushrooms and shells. You do crafting. One of the things I really love is like the things you can craft are things that people will know from the series. So it will be like Cafe Cecil and like an Onomichio cardboard standee, and it's all things that you know and love, and then you can build it on the island. And the other thing I really like is because they obviously parody Animal Crossing, and Animal Crossing has like the different themed furniture, like you'd have like the modern furniture. They have their own genres, and so one of them is sleazy, and you'll guess like they want different types of furniture when they arrive on your island. So they'll be like, oh, I want to see more, like pop stuff, but sometimes they'll be like, I want to see sleazy stuff. And DLC characters, which are like the classic characters like Majima and Kiryu and that. When Majima wanted sleazy stuff, I was like, that makes sense. When Kiryu wanted sleazy stuff, I was like, that's a bit weird. Yeah.
Okay, can you talk about you had mentioned the like combat improvements?
Yeah, so I am a fan of the old school combat. I like to button mash, and like 7 was like fun, don't get me wrong, and it was a novelty and I did like it, but I got really tired of it and I got sick of seeing like the same cutscenes all the time, and I was just like, oh, I just want the old stuff back. And I think going into this, that was something I was aware of. I was like, I prefer the old combat. Is this going to make it me like it more? I don't know. And it definitely did. There's a lot more meta to this because there's obviously they have like job roles and you can switch between jobs. They did that in the last one, but there's skill inheritance now. So you could be one role and have skills from one of the other jobs that you leveled on that character. So you have to put more thought into like how is this setup work and across the whole party. Positioning in combat, you have to put like more thought into that as well, because if you line things up better, you'll get more out of it. Like if you were to stand closer to an enemy, you do more damage. If you stand one side of them and you have an ally the other side of them and you attack them, your ally will like hit them as they fall into them and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So there's like more thought process going into it.
So
it's
more
not
tactics.
It's not as like dull, and you're not just going, oh, there's a guy and he's using pigeons to attack people again. Yeah, I got so sick of that cutscene. But yeah, so there is more thought into it. But the other like minigame thing that they've expanded on was the Sujimon thing, which is the Pokemon spin-off.
Mm.
And one thing that's made the combat more interesting for me is when you defeat people, there's a chance you can catch them like a Pokemon.
Okay.
So obviously, I want to fight more. You know, I don't mind doing lots of what I used to think of as pointless battles because I think, oh, I might find a new Sujimon that I can recruit.
That's so weird. So you're fighting people and capturing them like in a Pokeball?
No, so you give them a gift, and it's there's like this meter of how well you give the gift. So if you don't hit the meter right, he just kind of throws it on the floor at them, and they're obviously not very impressed. Or he can like really bow down and be like, "Here's his gift." And then even when you give him a gift, it's like different levels of gifts, how good they are. You have to like button mash to make them really like it. Yeah, it can be hard to get some of them. And let's not forget that all of these Sujimon are like absolute weirdos. Like a
And
guy who's like a flasher, and yeah, like, they're not normal people.
and then they're like in your party and you can fight with them?
So there's like Sujimon battles that you can fight. If you think about it like logically, because there's obviously like a sub-story plot to this where they're fighting people against people. It's so bizarre, fitting for the Yakuza series, but so bizarre. And there's also like raids and stuff. So you think of like Pokemon Go, and you go around the city, and there's like raids. There's that in Honolulu City, so you can go around and there's people sat there, and you can do a raid with them.
On like a big, like a bunch of little guys fighting a big guy?
Um, no, you know what? I haven't done it yet. So I pumped all my spare time into Dondoko Island, and then when it came to Sujimon, I've just been trying to like catch them all. Because there's also like gachapon machines, and I've been rinsing those, spending all my money like, give me some rare Sujimon. So my plan is to play more of that now that I've like finished the storyline. But there's so much to it. Like, that's just two of the things, you know, that I'm thinking, oh, this is side content I really want to do. And then there's like this dating app where you like talk to people like Tinder and try and get them to meet up with you. Then there's like the normal sub stories. Then there's all the other mini games. Like it's like unbelievable how much there is in this. There's no way I'm gonna like get to do everything I want before the review comes out.
Yeah. How many hours do you think to like fully complete it?
Oh my god. Oh, like over 100 at like minimum. Like my playthrough now, I've finished it, and it's just under 50 hours. I obviously did get sidetracked with Dondoko Island and other bits.
Yeah.
But like, oh yeah, the story I think alone you'd be looking at 20 to 30 hours, depending on, you know, are you sitting there really watching the cutscenes, or are you skipping as they talk? And you know, if you have to go and level a bit to retry bosses or something.
Is the bike stuff cool? I've seen a lot of the stuff with the bike.
Yeah. That is a good mini game. I like that because apparently when the development team went out to obviously research Hawaii, Uber Eats was really big over there, and that was what inspired them.
I see.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of a Tony Hawk, like freestyle combo bike trick thing, or it's more like Crazy Taxi.
You go around obviously collecting food, making deliveries, but yeah, you can do tricks and stuff as you go around. That is quite cool. I do like that. And then obviously, in terms of just other interesting transport things, that's a mini game. There's obviously the Segway.
Right.
That's quite cool. And needed with the bigger map, but I'm quite lazy, and one thing I love about it is you can set a destination, get on the Segway, and just put it on auto, and it will just take you there. Yeah.
So what's this thing about how the New Game Plus is like locked behind DLC? You have to pay to New Game Plus? Do you know what I'm talking about?
So I think I got the Ultimate Edition, so I have New Game Plus. But yeah, so it's part of the Ultimate Edition, if I recall correctly, which historically they haven't done. You had to just beat the game, then you could save in like Premium Adventure, and it would you'd start again, but you'd have most of your stuff. But yeah, that doesn't seem like a great idea to lock that to a
Yeah.
certain edition or behind DLC, because especially with this one, of all the games where there's so much side content, no one really wants to be like, oh, I need to make sure that I have the save before the final bosses to be able to do everything, and yeah, that's not
Yeah, because
cool.
this is a game that people replay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I think, like when I've played in the past, I'll play through the storyline, doing bits on the side, and then at the end, when I'm in Premium Adventure, I'll do mop up. You know,
Hmm.
I don't think people often play being like, I need to do everything at this level, and then keep going and making sure you're
Yeah.
like doing 100% of everything every step of the way. There's just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is this your favorite one?
Yeah, it is now. It is now. So it wasn't obviously before. Before, my favorite used to be Zero. I used to think that was the best of the series. I actually think that this is now the new peak of the series.
Why?
Oh, it just, everything it does like elevates the series in
Mm.
some way. So beyond the basics of like sheer size and the content available, the things they do with the narrative I think are really clever, in that they revisit a lot of plot threads all the way back from the very first game. But they also, as well as like revisiting specific things like that, they revisit things in like a more mirrored way, where you're kind of getting purposeful callbacks. We had it in the last game, so like Casca goes to prison for a murder he didn't do, and that's exactly what happened to Kiryu, and
Mm.
you kind of get a lot of that. It comes full circle, and I think it's really clever in how they've done that, because it isn't just recycling these old stories. At the same time, they've broken new ground with it and done their own thing. And so maybe that's where the name comes from, this infinite thing, this idea, this
Hmm.
like looping kind of wheel of protagonists. It works really well. And I just think, because you're at this stage of, you know, Kiryu's like obviously winding down and Casca's kind of starting up, it's a very emotional storyline. There were like bits where you really hear the voice actors, like they're so emotional in their delivery of their lines. It's like hard not to feel it. There were bits where I cried. Like, you can't help it. It is an emotional investment. So I think, it does tick all the boxes, like narratively and content, and just Dondoko Island alone, like
Yeah. You
that's
mentioned.
enough to sell me. I can have Majima come and visit my island, so it's an instant win for me.
So is there you make kind of make it sound like there's a sense of finality to this, but this isn't supposed to be the last Yakuza, is it?
No, it's not. In fact, I believe they said recently they've got loads of plans, like that they're going to announce at some point. They've got stuff they're working on. I'd love to see them do more stuff like Gaiden, these kind of smaller digital titles.
Mm.
But it's weird you say that, because as I was playing it, I kept thinking like, God, this feels like a swan song. This feels like this big kind of like, everything's getting tied up, and it's like this emotional kind of like everything's coming to a close. And it really did, like, if I played that and I didn't know that they were still going on, I would think, oh my God, this is the end. This is this
Mm.
climactic ending. But it's really not. It's really not. But you do get a big sense of closure there. It's weird, because I used to think that Like a Dragon 7 was the perfect passing of the torch of Kiryu to Casca. Casca and his crew were introduced. Kiryu shows up, they have their little fight, and you think, yeah, that's like a metaphorical, now you're the protagonist.
Hmm.
And then when we heard that he was coming back for Gaiden and he was coming back for this, I did kind of think, I love the guy, but come on, jog on now and
Yeah.
let the youngins have the limelight. But I was wrong. Like, this was needed. This is the perfect passing of the torch. Yeah. Like,
Cool.
I was definitely wrong. I think other people will agree that this, like, I think some people will be the same as I was and think like, do we really need more Kiryu? With like, we've moved on from that. But I think this has been done very well.
Mm. Cool. Right on. Your review. Can you tell us the score?
Uh, this will be my first ever perfect score at the gamer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Is there any final thoughts you have?
Honestly, I'm already thinking like I need to go back to my island and I need to get to my next star rank. So my thoughts are all on Dondoko Island. But I'm keen to. I think obviously I'm going to have to wait for other people to play and get through to the end. But I really want to discuss the storyline with people and find out what they think about it.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome. Thanks so much. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You can find the full review link down in the description. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's The Gamer, no space.